Well, hello, model car fans. Welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Raul, and here I want to answer a question that comes up every now and then. And if you guys have been watching the channel, you know I like to build and restore vintage kits. And something comes up every now and then because there is another option, and some of you have heard of it: promos, rebuilding some promos. And I've had a few people ask, and many don't know. And there was a time I didn't know on promos too and what can be done or what you can do with them. So that's kind of come up. So I'm going to touch on that today. The differences between a promo and a vintage kit, and what to expect. But I mean, it's not always true on every single one of these. Some things you really don't have an option. This is one, and I'll get into this one also. But when it comes down to it, they come around and, you know, this might be the preferred method, finding the vintage kit, especially if it's in great shape, a rebuilder or not. But sometimes a damaged promo or a not perfect promo, because promos can be worth a lot of money if they're perfect. Others have been issued many, many times, and you can find some with damaged A pillars or things like that. And I've done that, and I'll get into one of those as well. But there are some risks in dealing with, basically 60-year-old plastic here. So, and it goes either way actually. So I'll start with this here, and you guys know in my channel that I really love javelins, and I just like all muscle cars, but wanted to build one of every year javelin, and this one's a 68. In case you guys are wondering, some of you may recognize the box art, some not, but this one's a 68, and it's a pretty rare kit. I've shown the 69 on the channel, which this is the tall box art, and this is the flat box, for the differences here. But that's the 68 box, and this is the 69 box. Now, I've shown this kit before. This one's another mint kit with all the parts in it. But this one, when I bought this back in 2010, 2011, my photos go back to 2011, but I think it was a little bit before that. This was a pretty good bargain for me at that time, and it was a mint kit. I'll throw some pictures up of it when I got it back then, where everything was still on the trees and everything. But I didn't buy it as a collector's item. I bought it to build, but somehow I still haven't actually built it, and it's one of the few I haven't actually done. So maybe I'll get motivated and build this. But part of it is because I really wanted a 69. I got my 69, got my 70. The 68 I wanted as well. And that's what this is. This is a 68. But to get into this particular one, the story behind it is, found it. I got it off it was an eBay purchase actually, and it was really nice. And I ended up paying like $100 for it, and it was like 110 by the time it was shipped to me. And it was complete. Like I said, it had everything I needed to build it stock. It wasn't modified. The body's perfect. There wasn't any damage to it. I mean, it's all here and everything I needed for it stock. Only thing was, this is broken right here, but that's some of the risks of this really old plastic. Is it's kind of thin. You can see it's kind of thin, easily breaks. So now I tend to cut them kind of off, and it makes it easier to move the hood on and on instead of squeezing it, because I've actually broken one of them on the 71 to 74s trying to flex it, getting it in and out of there. So after cracking one in the middle, I now remove those pins pretty much and do it from there. But like you can see, this one's pretty much mint. But at the time, I had all of the drag race parts and everything, and I knew I was going to build it stock, and I didn't need any of those. But so I went through it and checked everything I needed. Wheels, the original tires. I got Model Haas tires here anyway. And then all of the engine parts, but some of them are not actually correct. So I got some of the later parts that I cast in resin here to update the engine to the more accurate one that comes in some of the later issues. But anyway, kind of veering off point here. At the time, I had somebody say, "Hey, I'll give you $40 for all the drag race parts." Well, after buying this for $100, $40, I'm like, that makes this kit like $60. Well, now this is a $300 kit, but I mean, this is years later now. But I went ahead and I'm like, dude, I can't pass that deal up now. Now, currently, I wish I didn't take anything off the trees and I had left this completely alone, but that's because I can show you on this channel much more about it, but I don't have that. I got that other 69 over here that has all those parts, and I have shown you all that. So there's just a few trim differences between a 68 and a 69. But anyway, when it comes to the kit, this right here, this is a promo of one. And there are a couple of different kinds of promos. And there was something pretty interesting about this particular one. So we'll move this off to the side. And all these bags, that's another set of Model House tires. The bumpers have been re-chromed, which this one needed it, and it was done a long time ago. And then I've got some of the missing parts here. The Javelin taillights, a grill that I cast the insert, and then here's the front bumper, and then wheels, a missing shifter that's cast in resin, a stock shifter now, as one came my way, and got the wheels all cast. But these are kit wheels. Promo wheels are a little bit different. Promo wheels tend to be cast a little thicker, and then they go on some of these big axles. Now this is a friction promo chassis, which is why it's got this motor here. Not really a motor, it's a weight. So when you roll this thing, it spins and it creates inertia and pulls it. So it's more of a toy for the kids, but it has this really simple chassis. That's one of the differences of promo, and that's what a friction promo is. So when you hear the term friction, it's got this kind of chassis. It's not motorized, but it just has the spinning weight and works. This one actually works. It's kind of neat, which I still have it. Don't intend on using it. So that's why I've got this original chassis under here from one of my rebuilders, but the exhaust pipes are missing. But I wasn't going to put an engine in this because this being a promo body, the hood is molded shut. You can't open the hood, which I was fine with that. And this body is pretty nice. Now, one of the interesting parts about this particular body is when I got it, it was metallic blue. And the paint had some scuffs and scratches in it, but I didn't realize that this was actually painted. Many of the other ones I had are molded in color and not painted, but this particular one, it was painted. And it was painted all inside and out, and I had found out that some of them were and some of them were not. It really depended on the color. But yeah, this one was actually painted. I had a 69 that was molded in brown, and it was really nice. And I had a 70 that was molded in the lime green. It had broken A-pillars, a broken windshield, and I needed the interior from that one promo. And since it was broken, I got it for like 30 bucks. And on that one, I ended up cutting the hood free and using it on one of my kits. But as I was trying to cut the hood, the plastic was so brittle, it actually shattered. So I had parts of it actually shatter, and it was already broken. And you can see this A-pillar here is pretty tweaked a little bit. So that's pretty fragile, and I won't mess with it because I can see cracks there, and that might break at any time. But I've left this alone, and we'll show the underside of it because some promos have different things as well, and this is one of them. So another difference in promos, a lot of them, is the glass here. On the kit, it's cut right here, and there's a line. You can actually take your razor saw and cut that to match the kit issued glass. So if you're looking for vintage glass sometimes a promo is a great substitute because it is virtually the same, except for like right here, it's cut here, but the promo has the extra. So, and it has the extra mounts here, which these were heat glued. I had to separate them. So those came out. And then the chassis is kind of the same way. Now this one has the steering wheel and dash glued in. It does kind of, yeah, it does come out. The steering wheel is definitely glued in. And I can't really get it, and the glue's kind of sloppily done, but that was, I mean, it was a promo. They really didn't care, wasn't expected to survive or last, but I can paint it like that. But it's got these mounting ears as well, where the kit issued one does not. But you can easily see, all you got to do is cut those off. The rest of the interior is exactly the same. So there's another kind of difference there, but you can use promo parts in some of the kits if you got a kit body with the hoods open, or vice versa. You can use a kit part in there, but it won't have all of the mounting. So there's some of the differences right there. But if you leave this alone, which I was intending to do, it's still, you can repaint this thing, build it, do everything you can to a normal model kit. Polish the glass a little bit on this one, and then build it and display it as it is, but no engine poking out of it. So let's stop dropping some of these parts. So there's some of the differences on this particular Javelin, but the bodies themselves, other than the hood itself, all the emblems are in the same spots. It's got all the trim, everything there. It's just made a little bit differently. There's an extra mounting point for the front bumper that the kit doesn't have, but you can pretty much interchange the front bumpers between the two. But they are a little bit different, just subtle little differences between some of that stuff. But the grill can mount in there, and the chassis do interchange. Like I said, I could put a motor in this one, but there's no real reason to, because the hood's going to be closed, but it can still be in there. So anyway, that's this one. So kind of put that out of the way. But there are some that, when it comes to promos, were not available in kit form. That's what this one is. So I'll open this up and show you kind of the project here. Now this, as you can see, this is a Barracuda. And then AMT did issue Barracuda model kits, but they did a 65 and they did a 66. This is a 64. Now, when it comes to the 64, there's almost no difference between a 64 and a 65 as far as the model kits go, with two exceptions. 64 says Valiant right on the back right there. 65s do not. It was the only year it said Valiant. That's the only difference in this whole body. Okay. Now this is another friction promo. This one, the gears kind of bind and it doesn't work. It's kind of worn out compared to the other one. But this is another friction promo. So same thing. And it's got the single exhaust and everything. But here is a chassis from another one. And as you can see, this thing's pretty much a painted bomb. I mean, I don't know how many layers of paint there are on here. But as you can see, it was gold and then it was red. So there's multiple layers of paint here. But this is literally the same chassis, single exhaust and everything. But you can see the difference in the front here for where it's cut out for the engine. And this has the molded in transmission detail and exhaust pipe that continues up. And then the mounting change here between the two bodies. But this is another one, and same thing. You can see the big axles here and the big axle pins, and the fact that this wheel and tire do not come apart. Where the kits, there's a chrome wheel and a wheel back, and you glue them together. But the promos are not that way. It has a different style tire. You can kind of see it on the inside. Model Haus Tires does sell promo style tires or kit tires, but these are the promo style ones. So yeah, well, this is a 64. Now, I did do some work to it. Oh, and one of the main reasons, right here. This is the 64 Barracuda dash, and it is completely different from the 65. So this is the one part I really wanted. The rest of the interior is the same as the 65. It had the ears in the front. I cut them off, and you can see I ground them off, cut them, and did it very carefully because this same thing, really old plastic and it breaks. And you can see how this thing was played, had been in the sun or whatever, and it's seriously sun faded. And you can see, where the shadows were in the back seat. I took the back seat out. It was glued in place, but you can kind of move it up and down, but it'll go back in place. But I was able to remove this. One pin's broken. I can fix that. And this other pin is questionable, but there it is. But there's the back seat. But this thing is unpainted, and this is the color it's molded in. Of course, the screws, the steering wheel, all the parts that I need are here. Now, at the time, I did buy Model Haus chrome front bumper, chrome rear bumper, and these are the same whether it's promo or not. I mean, Model Haus kind of does the promo ones where they've got the wings here, and on some kits you got to cut them off. Some you got to drill the centers out. Really depends on the kit. But there's the 65 Barracuda hood, 65 taillights. which all of this trim is the same between a 64 and a 65. Like I mentioned, the entire body is the same other than that Valiant script on the back. So I decided I was going to cut the hood off of this one, and I did do it. But on some of these promos, and I've run into this on my 64 Thunderbird, which is also a promo originally, sometimes the plastic is thicker. You can see how much thicker that actually is right there. So when I cut it, to my surprise, it is thicker. I mean, it probably did it for strength reasons to, play with it, because these were more toys. And as you can see, this one did have decals on it on the back here and on the side, number 15. And you can see where the bumper is. But all of this discoloration, thankfully, has not, modified the plastic. It is very brittle. I'm afraid to flex it. I know the hood snap, but thin layer primer and some sanding on some of the scuff marks. But this thing can be built into a really nice, presentable kit. And I'm going to put the engine in it and everything, which is why it's here. The glass is a bit yellowed also, and you can see it had a sticker in the middle and sticker on the side. But I can get this glass from another 65 or 66, as they are interchangeable. But this one may just polish out just fine. So, I mean, this is another one of those projects that will go along, but you can definitely see right there the friction part of it. So I'll move all this off to the side here, so I don't want to break that steering wheel. But that's what all of this stuff is for a promo. And then they have some static promos which have chassis under them, which just have some detail wording and descriptions underneath. So those are pretty cool as well. And then I've seen, when I was looking for 64 Thunderbirds, AMT 64 Thunderbirds, I did find a radio promo, which had all the promo body and everything, but instead of an interior, it had an AM radio in it. And that was pretty cool. Although, at the time when I was kind of looking for one, I was looking for one with an interior because, I want the stock interior and everything. And mine was a hard top, and I cut the roof off, made it a convertible, cut the hood open, and put some of the interior and everything on that. And I've shown that car, and there's a build on that. But those of you that look for some to restore and you look for promos, there are some options. You can keep your eyes open and find them, find some rebuilders like this, because like this one is usable, not really damaged, but as far as a promo out of the box, it was seriously sun faded, chrome worn and beat up. The bumpers and headlights were actually beat up pretty bad because this one was heavily played with. Taillights were beat up, but I had gotten those parts from Model Haus at the time. Unfortunately, they're out of business now, or they've closed up shop, but sometimes you can still find this stuff, which makes it a little bit more difficult. Or you can find a 65 kit and go so far as that. But thankfully, I bought all this stuff way back when I did. Don't know why. Same thing. Haven't really finished building this one. I really haven't collected the chassis or all the parts and found a nice suitable V8 engine or put an inline six in it. I really don't want to put a slant six in this, even though it has a single exhaust. I kind of want to do a Formula S instead. But anyway, that should bring up some things. So, those of you guys who have been wondering what the promo is and what the differences are and what a friction promo is, there's a couple of them, and I hope that it kind of explains it. And, maybe I'll get excited and eventually get one of these built and put away on display here, because like this 68 Javelin, I really got to get one of these done. So I've got a 68 and a 74 left to do, but now I'm just kind of rambling on and dreaming about the builds here. So anyway, figure that might answer a number of your questions and everything, and I hope that does. I hope you guys enjoyed this, so I really do appreciate it. So you guys, thank you for tuning in, subscribing, and all of your comments. And please remember to check the video description below for our sponsor, Hobby Nut Models and Scale Finishes, and they do help me out quite a bit and help the channel out, especially Hobby Nut Models. He's a big supporter of the channel and other YouTubers as well. So anyway, big shout out to Mark there. So thank you guys for tuning in, subscribing, and all your comments. I really do appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you again.